Welcome back, everyone. This is GTA Failure. Next up is taxi. So, step one is to get a taxi. There are two different kinds of taxis in Liberty City. There's something called a taxi, which is kind of a very angular yellow vehicle. And then the other taxi type thing is actually called a cabbie, and it's more rounded. I've read that both of these are the same. Actually, this is perfect. Here's one of each. So this thing right here is what I'm calling more angled, and that is called a taxi. And then this one over here feels more rounded in the front and around the, sort of the tops and stuff. And that's called a cabbie. Now I've read that both of these things handle exactly the same, and so you can do either of them. You can use either for doing the taxi missions. But I find the taxi, that's this one here closer to me, to handle much better than the more rounded cabbie behind. So it's true you can do the taxi missions in one or the other, or a combination of the two, no problem. But if I have a choice, I'd much rather use the taxi, this one right here. So borrow your favorite taxi or cabbie, and then push the numlock button. And on the little mini map there, you will see a little dot pop up, and that's where your passenger is. So the goal of taxi is to drop off 100 passengers. Now this is very much more friendly than paramedic was. You can drop off 100 in a row if you feel like it, or you could drop off one and then go do a mission and then go drop off 10 more and go do some missions. You can flip your taxi, you can kill the would-be passengers, nothing matters. You just have to do 100 at any point altogether. There's a nice little shortcut here that we're going to be taking advantage of. Is this little alley with the Bribe Star in it. That's a good way for us to navigate between Chinatown, which is where we are right now, and the Red Light District, which is just north of that alley. Oh, there's a little Trash Master, double Trash Master. We'll talk about that vehicle soon. So time is not an issue here. If it happens that you run out of time, no problem. Just start taxi again. You don't need to keep track of how many of the 100 you've done. The game will keep track. And at the end of 100, you'll get a nice little message that says that taxi is completed, and you get some fancy fixed spawn taxi, like a more advanced taxi that spawns way in the north. I think it's in Hepburn Heights. I never use it. It's not worth anything to me. So the reward is nothing, but you got to do this to get 100% in the game. So a couple of things to know about taxi. So first of all, you can do all 100 on Portland Island, which is this first island. That's what we're going to do. Or you could do all of them on the second island or on the third island, or you could do 20 here and 20 on the second island, 60 on the last island. Doesn't matter at all. But there are a couple of reasons that I like doing all of them here. So number one, I think that the 8 destinations available on this island are fairly close to each other. There's actually 2 that I think are kind of farther apart, and I typically reject those destinations. So the import-export garage, and then the diner. I forget what it's called, Greasy Joe's maybe. So if somebody wants to go to either of those 2 places, I say get the hell out of my cab. But everywhere else, I say come on in and I'll get you where you need to go. So of the 6 destinations that are left out of those 8, I think that they're all pretty darn close to each other. Whereas on the other 2 islands, some of those destinations are really, really far away. So I like that. I think you can kind of do it a little bit quicker here. Oh, if you get wanted stars here, it's not a problem. You can get rid of one wanted star by just kind of not committing crimes for a while. If you get a second wanted star, for sure. All right, so there's Greasy Joe's. So I just hit the numlock button twice, once to cancel taxi and once to start it back up again. I forget what we were saying there. So I like doing them here because the destinations are kind of close to each other. And also there's going to be 4 specific vehicles. There's the secure car, that's one of them right there, which we're going to grab. And so I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And I think it makes sense to grab those 4 vehicles on this island because you're going to drop them off in a garage on this island. Just for the record, the 4 vehicles are the bus, the flatbed, the secure car, and the Trash Master. There's somebody else who wants to go to Greasy Joe's, so I say get the hell out, and I pick somebody else. So we're going to pick up these 4 vehicles, like in normal gameplay here, but I like doing it during taxi because taxi is a good time to just be on the lookout for other vehicles. You can kind of mindlessly go back and forth and drop 100 passengers off, and on the way, you will inevitably run into these four somewhat rare vehicles. And so you just grab them, like you abandon taxi when you see one of these four vehicles. You grab the vehicle, you bring it to the import-export garage. I'll do this during this recording. I'll show you. But I like doing that here because otherwise it's kind of hard to predict when you might see what is happening here. Why did he sprint towards? I don't understand that. All right, so this guy that I just dropped off has changed his mind. Come on in, sir. Where would you like to go now? Old School Hall is kind of far away from here. It's at the, sort of the farthest south of all the destinations I accept. But that's okay. Oh, Mr. Whoopi. That's a rare vehicle, but we don't need it for right now. All right, so I'm just going to do a few more of these and just kind of talk a tiny bit more about a couple of other things, and then I will pause the recording of the video as I start to collect these four vehicles for the import-export garage. There's a bus right over there. Okay, so as I was saying, you can do taxi in either this one or in the more rounded cabbie. Either one is fine. I think this one handles better. If you destroy your vehicle, just go steal another one, or if it's, like only too beat up for people to get in, but it's not destroyed yet, you can bring it to the pay and spray and repair it and keep going. If you run out of time, don't worry about it, just start taxi again. And like I said before, you don't need to do the 100 in a row. The game will keep track. It's just 100 cumulatively over the course of the game. There's a flatbed we just passed. Oh, another secure car. Wish I would have talked about these things before. Okay, so a couple of other things not to do with taxi. So about paramedics. So I know we finished that a couple of videos ago, but I should have mentioned back when I was making that video that you can do paramedic in any of the three islands. But I like doing it here on this island. I think that Greasy Joe's is a big fat no. I like doing them on this island because number one, it means that you earlier in the game get the ability to sprint forever, and so now we can sprint forever because we completed paramedic, and we didn't wait until we got onto like the third island, for example, and wouldn't have been able to sprint until then. So that's a nice reward, being able to sprint forever. Also, I think that the destinations for paramedic are kind of closer. Like, I just think it's easiest to navigate on this island. You'll see what I mean if you haven't played this game before. But the second island is pretty long, north to south, and the third island is connected in all kinds of weird ways. And so it can be sort of challenging to figure out where the patients are on that third island because of the disconnected nature of that map. Also on the second island, there's a gang. Oh, come on. There's a gang on the second island who hates you immediately and will shoot at you from the beginning of your time on the second island before you do terrible things to their gang. I don't get it. But that means that if you are doing paramedic on that second island, you're just going to take a lot of damage because it's unavoidable to go through the Colombian neighborhood, and they're just import-export garage is the second destination that I ignore. You just can't. Where's this guy? Here we go. You can't avoid going through the areas where the Colombians shoot at you, and every shot that hits your ambulance gives you a little bit of damage, and it doesn't seem like much, but over the course of doing a 30 or 40 minute paramedic, you might sustain enough damage that your ambulance catches on fire, and that's the end of paramedic. So, another secure car. So that's why I like doing paramedic on this island. Additionally, if you're going to do paramedic on this island, you need to do it before the triads get mad at you and before the mafia gets mad at you, because once that happens, again, they shoot at you every time you're driving through the neighborhood, and import-export garage is a no. And so that means that your ambulance is going to be taking a lot more damage from all those gunshots, and over the course of 30 or 40 minutes of paramedic, you might find that your ambulance does not survive because of all that damage. Okay, so I think that was all I wanted to say about paramedic. Some people really hate taxi just because it's long and boring. I don't know. I'm kind of neither here nor there on it. It's not stressful, which is good. That said, import-export garage, no thank you. I think that Rockstar could have made taxi shorter, maybe 50 instead of 100. That would have been enough. So for me, doing the 100 drop-offs and collecting 4 cars, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, takes me about an hour and 10 minutes. It's pretty consistent. And so, it's a long time. If this whole run takes me like 9 or 10 hours, I mean, that's more than 10% of the time. It's just doing this silly mini mission. But, once you learn the destinations, they're fixed. It's like I said, it's just the same 6 destinations over and over again that I drop people off at. Once you learn them, it's very low stress, almost meditative, and you can turn down the sound in the game and put on your favorite music or your favorite podcast, and just drive around for an hour and 10 minutes while you're listening to music or podcasts. So not the best mission in the world, but not terrible. It's fine. Okay, so let's talk about the import-export garage. So the idea here is that there's a collection of vehicles that you need to pick up and drop off in a garage over on the far southeast of this island. And a bunch of these vehicles are going to be routed in, if you just kind of follow my lead through this series of videos. And so I'll tell you where those ones are. And then there are other ones that you're going to want to find in the wild. 4 of the rarest ones are what we're looking for here on Taxi. And then there are going to be some other ones that have fixed locations, but you could also find them in the wild. And I'll show you where all that is. But for right now, I'll say that I made a shared import-export garage. I think not. I made a shared Google sheet, like a spreadsheet. And so the link is in the description for this and all the other videos. And so I'd encourage you to go download that sheet. And I know this is really old school of me, but I'm old. Print it like on an actual piece of paper. So right next to me on my desk, I've got that sheet printed out, that spreadsheet, and a little pencil. And as I find these cars, I'm just going to check them off. It's just one less thing to worry about trying to remember over the course of 9 or 10 hours of playing this game. So what we're after here, you can see it in the live split timer there, is the first 4 import-export garage while doing Taxi. And so the first 4, like I mentioned before, they're on that shared Google Doc. It's the bus, the flatbed, the secure car, and the trash master. So what I'm going to do now is look for those things, and if I see any of them, I will grab them and bring them to the import-export garage. But I'm not going to make an hour and 10-minute video because most of the action you've already seen. It's just picking people up and dropping them off. And I think we've seen every one of my 6 preferred destinations show up. But I will, before we pause this video and then restart it again once I find one of these 4 cars in the wild, I will point out that there's a specific place that I look for these cars. It's one north-south road with kind of a like an alleyway connecting them in between, like a little shortcut. And so these 4 vehicles are all, oh, no, thank you, Greasy Joe's, these 4 vehicles are all pretty rare. The secure car, in my experience, is the rarest of the 4, and they're all large. And large vehicles do not spawn on every single street in Liberty City. And so I found that all 4 of them do spawn on this road right here, this main north-south road, plus its continuation through that alleyway right behind us with the Bribe Star in it. Where's this person? And so what I do is when I have an opportunity to do so, is I take a route that puts me on this road right here. So every time I'm going to Easy Credit Autos, I make sure I take this road, and then I look for the large vehicles. So like that kind of reddish truck, that gray truck, anything big, anything bigger than even van size, I'm looking at, because the secure car is like an armored car, and it is the size of a van. And so I don't know that I'll record until we find these things here. I'm getting lost here. But I will show you that, like, as I leave here, I'm going to head back out to that road. Like, regardless, oh, I got a wanted star. I'm a bad boy. Regardless of the destination here, I'm pretty much coming to this north-south road because it's a place where I can find all 4 of those vehicles at some point. And it might take, like a good 30, 40 minutes before we find like all of these vehicles. But for example, here's one. This is the bus. So we just lost that taxi. Oh, it was another bus. That particular taxi fare, but that's okay. So we hop in, to the one of the four vehicles. We're going to drive it over here to the east of the hospital. We're going to head in that parking area where we dropped off the police car and the ambulance. But now we're going to go to the indoor garage and drop off our first import-export for that garage. So it's right in here. And the shortest distance way to get to where we want to go is this little alley here. And it's this blue door right here. So if you have something they want, the door will open up. You drive in, you hop out, and then you run out. I'm going to jump because you can't do anything during the closing. And here's the list of the vehicles that we want, and we just got credit for the bus. And so right now I'm taking my piece of paper, actual piece of paper, and my pencil, and I just put a check mark next to bus. So now there's 3 other of those rare large vehicles that we're after, and we're going to find them over the course of doing taxi. So I'll probably just do a couple more here and then pause the video and then bring the video back when I find each of the other 3. But I just want to kind of highlight, like what do? We lost our taxi and we're just kind of starting over here. So I'm heading back to my favorite north-south road. If I happen to see a taxi on the way, I will grab it. These vehicles that we're passing are import-export garage eligible, but we're going to get them all later. Right now, we're really just greedily focused on finding those 4, even that Bobcat right there, that pickup truck, finding those 4 that I wanted. And so this is perfect because, you come to the big road. Oh, even that Trash Master. You come to the big road and you find big vehicles. And so this is exactly what I wanted to demonstrate, is that road right there and its continuation to the south of the alley with the Bribe Star is a place where you can find all 4 of the vehicles. Now, don't get frustrated if it takes a while because, like I said, the whole taxi and 4 vehicles takes me an hour, 10 minutes. I've never run out of taxi drop-offs to do before finishing the import-export garage. And so it never feels like I'm wasting time. Like, where are these other 4 vehicles? I got to find them and I finish taxi. It's never happened. I don't know how long it takes usually to get all 4 of these big vehicles, but like I said, all right, so now I'm checking here. We just dropped off the flatbed. But like I said, I always find them in the midst before I've completed 100 of the taxi drop-offs. Okay, so we're going to head back to the main road. I didn't get a chance to grab my taxi. I'll also say that one of the links in the description to this video is a listing of all the things that are required for 100%. It's a web page with that listing. Looking for a taxi here if possible. And if you scroll down in that list, then you will see the import-export section of that web page. And that is really great because it's got a nice picture of each of the things that we need to, each of the cars we need to find and drop off. Okay, so I found my taxi. So with a little bit of practice, you start to learn these vehicles here, but it does take some work to learn all the required vehicles. All right, so I did get a wanted star there. I don't know where I'm just looking behind to make sure I'm not going to get pulled over. And I'm heading back to my favorite road, looking for the other 2 vehicles. I can see on my little checkmark sheet here, it's a secure car and a Trash Master. There's the bus in front of us. We already got one of those. Don't need another one. And so we're just back into it, back into the groove of doing taxi while looking for the other 2 vehicles. And I don't stop looking for the other 2 vehicles just because I'm off the main road, because they can appear on a number of different roads. But like I said, I make a concerted effort to get to that road because I've seen all 4 of them regularly on that main north-south artery, and that north-south artery is very convenient to a lot of the drop-off locations for taxi. Greasy Joe's, I think not. All right, let's do one more and then we'll pause the video. Okay, let's go to Marco's Bistro. You'll note these for these 6 destinations, 2 of them are in St. Mark's, which is where we are now. 2 of them are in Chinatown, and 2 of them are in, what's it called, right north of Chinatown. Come on, buddy. The red light district. So like I said, all pretty close to each other. So I think taxi here is pretty reasonable. And with some work, you learn the names of the six things, and then you learn, kind of the most direct path from any one of the six to any other of the six, including a couple of shortcuts, but there's really not many shortcuts that I use for this. Where am I going here? Come on, buddy. Okay, so we'll go through this bribe star shortcut here. Again, anytime you want to go from Chinatown north, that's probably what we're going to do. I'm just taking a look at those vehicles down there on my main street just to see if I can find any of my 2 remaining vehicles. I know I said one more and that was like 4 drop-offs ago or something. Come on, you gotta be kidding me. I got stuff to do, get in my car. All right, Punk Noodles, we'll take that bribe shortcut and then we'll pause the video for now. And so we're going to pause the video here. Oh, this is the continuation of that road that I was talking about. So I do look on this road as well for all 4 of those large vehicles. Okay, so we're going to pause the video here, and I'm going to come back, but I'm going to continue looking for each of those 4 vehicles. Well, only 2 left because I've already got 2 of them. And then when I find one of those 2 in the wild, I will bring the video back and just show you, just so you can see what each of those 2 vehicles looks like. And I will be right back for you, and not right back for me while I go through the meditation that is Taxi. There's a whatchamacallit around. You can hear the music from the Mr. Whoopi. So Mr. Whoopi is one of the required vehicles, and it's some people say it's the rarest of all the required vehicles. But we're gonna grab it. Oh gosh. We're going to grab it during a mission, so I don't even bother grabbing it when I see it, even if it's super rare. Is that a Trash Master up there? Let me just see if that is. It's kind of hard with the fog. It is. All right, lucky you. Or lucky me, I should say. All right, so the big old garbage truck called a Trash Master, and it's one of the 4 that we're after here. Okay, if anybody is in one of those 4 import-export vehicles that you grab and they try to come get you, you can see them coming after your vehicle, because it can take a while for the vehicle to get up to speed because they're so big and slow. And so if they manage to pull you out, they will get in and drive away, and it is unlikely you'll be able to get the vehicle back. So if you see one of them coming back at you, maybe do like a drive-by, just like look out the driver's side window and shoot them in the face. All right, so we'll drop this thing off, and then I will do some more Taxi until I find that one last one of the 4. Like I said, I think I mentioned that I find the Secure car to be the rarest of the 4, but it's not so bad. In fact, earlier in Taxi, I found 2 separate Secure cars in this recording, but I hadn't gotten up to the point in the commentary where I was explaining that we were looking for those 4 vehicles. So as I'm running here, I'm looking at my paper and I'm checking off Trash Master, and then I'm back kind of guiding myself. So I think you can check the thing off on your actual piece of paper without even losing any time, because you're just kind of running in a straight line while you do it. All right, so I think this is a good place to pause the video recording. I will be back with a Secure car. Okay, and we're back. So it didn't take long. I guess you can know by the timing program, maybe only like 2 minutes or something before I found it, but it's this one right here. It's the armored car that we did van heist. We had to steal one of these things after damaging it a bunch. Oh, there's a flatbed, one of the 4 that we need, and so we're just going to take this. We'll go this way this time for variety. Take this and drop it off in the import-export garage, and then that'll be it for this round of looking for import-export vehicles. There's still plenty of import-export vehicles to find, but like I said, we'll do them later. A bunch of them will be routed in, and others are in fixed locations, and then anything in the wild I'll tell you about later, but this is it for now. So once I drop this last one off, then I'm just going to be doing Taxi, and I'm really going to try to not even bother looking for any of the special vehicles because it's done. So right now I've got my paper and my little check mark in the last of the top 4. I'll hit the slash key, which moves my timing program down to 1 item. That just kind of tells me I've finished those 4, or at least I don't need the reminder that I'm doing those 4 anymore. And so we'll get in our Karuma, go borrow a taxi. For sure, I'm going to be looking for one of the angular ones and not the rounded cabbie because I expect, yeah, see, there's a cabbie right there. I'm going to ignore that. Because I expect I'm probably just going to use one vehicle for the remainder of taxi, and there's a lot of taxi left to do. So we're just going to come right in here and say, can I borrow this? And actually, the taxi drivers really don't like you taking their car, so you can just shoot them. You don't even have to kill them to get them to go away from you. That way you don't worry about like, come on. That way you don't have to worry about them taking the cabbie back. You also don't have to worry about the 1-star. Like I said, 1-star is not aggressive at all in terms of cops coming after you. So I'm just going to do my thing here. I am going to watch out for cops in the brief moments when I'm stopped. See, like right there on my right, I saw somebody. Is there somebody here? Oh, hey, you almost ran over my passenger. You kidding? All right, Greasy Joe's Cafe is not what I want, but I will bite the bullet here and grab this this bribe star. Okay, and then we'll grab somebody else here. Come on in. When you cancel a taxi, the person doesn't get out until you've come to a stop. So you can cancel and then restart and still have the passenger in there until you've come to a complete stop. Oh, another secure car on the left. Yeah, so I think that's about it. So I will come back in a while. I'm looking at the timing program. So I started taxi at like 1:46 is what it says. And so I'm expecting to finish right around 2:56. So, you know, like 45 minutes-ish. It might take a little bit longer than normal because I've been doing commentary that I don't normally do. Import-export garage, I think not. All right, so I'll pause and I'll come on back right as we do the 100th drop off. And again, you'll know because like the little beeper thing will come up in the top left of the screen and it'll tell you that you've unlocked the super duper cabbie that you will never use, or at least that I never use. Oh, another Mr. Whoopi up there. They really want me to take that thing. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so we're back, and I just now finished my 100th drop off. So let me just pull this up here, and you will see in the top left, the beeper has just shown up after dropping off the 100th passenger, and here it goes. And so it gives some silly thing about the new and improved taxi that's available to you. I will show it to you during one of these missions coming up, but like I said, it's not worth anything to me. So anyway, I hit my little minus sign here, my minus button to indicate I have finished taxi in the timing program because that one doesn't get ticked off automatically. And then I'll hit the num lock because I'm done with taxi, and I will end this video at the starting position the next little leg of the mission. That's right here. We're going to break through that glass right there and grab the hidden package. So we'll do that soon. Thanks for watching.